When people ask me, well, why do I do children's books, or how did I start doing children's books? It was because I went out into my backyard and explored. 2 days ago, pick these and have blackberry pancakes. Yum. Jasper, berry, catch. When I was a kid, I was lucky because we didn't have a TV. And I spent my time outside exploring my world. This is the compost pile, now full of a lot of grass clippings. But underneath these grass clippings is rich black earth. A family of bluebirds raised its family in this house this year, and there's another one up in that tree. This is asparagus. I've got a good crop of weeds here, too. Kids always ask me where I get my ideas. I get them every day and from anywhere, reading the newspaper, from talking to my friends about issues in the world, spending time with my dogs. I mean, it can just be anywhere. It's just living. You lead a full life and you get ideas. I wrote this book because I wanted kids to see where in the world they were. They don't just live in their town, they live on planet Earth. And in this book, the armadillo meets up with an eagle. They get so high up, they go over the clouds, and they hook up with the space shuttle, and they see the whole Earth from space. It's an adventure out there. You go out and you discover things. I heard a bird up there. The man goes into the forest, he starts cutting the tree. The heat and the hum of the forest lull him to sleep. And as he sleeps, the different creatures come down and whisper in his ear a litany of reasons why he should save the forest. The butterflies and insects say, "Senor, you see, all living things depend on one another." And the frogs say that if you chop down the tree, you'll leave many of us homeless. And the tree porcupines say, "Senor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the forest, you will destroy that which gives us all life." This is a shagbark hickory tree. Often you can tell a tree by its bark, even when it's winter and the leaves are all gone, and you can see this as a very shaggy bark. Shagbark hickory also has wonderful nuts, hickory nuts. They're sort of pecan-like, really delicious. In The Dragon and the Unicorn, so the king is beside himself wondering where is his daughter. He goes into the forest and he's very afraid of the forest. His daughter shows him what a beautiful, magical place the forest is. My mom always encouraged me, and she was a fine artist and children's book illustrator. My father was a real nature lover, still is. When I was a kid, he would be planting trees with me and teach me about flowers and take me into the woods. He was my inspiration for, I think, loving the natural world. My mother was the inspiration for drawing it and painting it. I go out and I discover my world. I go to foreign countries. I carry a journal with me wherever I am, and then I type it up on the computer when I get home. I can't remember everything I've seen perfectly, so I take photographs. This was the bird bath that I photographed for the bird bath in Costa Rica in Flute's Journey. After I write the book, I start doing the illustrations. This is the original art from Flute's Journey as I send it to the publisher. And as you can see, there's no type on it, no text. I send them this overlay that tells them where the text should go, and we've already decided on a typeface. And then at the publisher, they set this type and they paste it up. This is called a mechanical. And then this is what it looks like, finished. That's why when you ask me, do I prefer the original art or the finished art, it's like apples and oranges, because when the finished art is just art, but a book has so much more information. I'm interested in the message that my book has for children. This is the story of the life of one wood thrush whose existence depends upon the tropical rainforest in Monteverde, Costa Rica, the northern forest of the Beltwoods in Maryland, and all the places in between. This shows the Beltwoods before the areas next to it were developed. The flute's mother is migrating to the Beltwoods. There she meets her mate and she lays 4 blue eggs, and one of these is Flute. And then Flute's mother feeding the babies, and they grow, and then they fledge. And fledge means that they leave the nest. Flute is recognizable throughout this book because he had these unusual white feathers on his head. These children go into the woods, and the birds come very close to them because the children sit very still. This is Flute beginning his migration south from the Beltwoods toward Costa Rica. Flute is a bird of the tropical rainforest as well as of the temperate forests up here. This is an example of how North America, South America, we, the birds, we're all interconnected. When he starts heading north again, he's surprised to find one of the places that he stopped over is being clear-cut. I wish developers would keep the trees and tuck the houses inside so they keep more of the natural habitat. That could make a big difference. Flute goes through all kinds of trials and tribulations as he migrates north. The next year, Flute returns to where he was born, to where he fledged. And most birds do this. They return to the place that they were originally born. Flute comes back to this area, and what does he find? The areas next to Beltwoods were developed. This was a piece of land that was owned by a man named Seton Belt. Seton Belt loved his big trees. Generation through generation, no one in his family cut that forest. They wanted to see it preserved. When he was getting old, he didn't have any children to leave his land to, so he thought he'd give it to another group that he could really trust, the Episcopal Church. And in his will he wrote, "These trees are never to be cut, and this land is never to be sold." But then after Seton Belt died, they thought they could get a lot of money for this land, and so they decided to try and get the will overturned. They were successful in doing that, and they put the land up for sale for $9 million. And so there was a campaign to try and save the Beltwoods. And a lot of people were involved. A lot of kids wrote letters to the bishop.
Dear Reverend Haynes, please don't sell the trees to developers. Just because Seton Belt isn't here doesn't mean you can sell the trees. He depended on you. Why are you going against him? Animals live in Beltwoods. You are taking their homes. Sincerely, Dana.
Why are you going to sell the trees to the developers? God is going to be mad at you. Why won't you give the woods to Maryland so they can take care of it or sell it to the trust for public land? Respectfully, Raymond, Shegog.
My name is Janine Loftus, and I'm from Janier Elementary School, and I've brought many of my colleagues and some of the students that were involved in a writing project that we worked on concerning this awesome woods here, the Beltwoods. We live right below Lake Michigan, about 50 miles south of Chicago. We traveled, we flew over the states of Indiana, Ohio, the tip of West Virginia, down to the Beltwoods in Maryland.
Look how the first branch is coming out way, way up there.
It all started with the Illinois Reading Conference and Lynne Cherry telling us about these wondrous woods out east that she needed help to save. I educated the students about the issue. They were excited, and they wrote some beautiful letters to help save these woods. They care about not just the woods in their own backyard, but they care about trees all over the country and trying to make a difference, no matter how big or small we are.
This forest in Maryland was going to get cut down. Animals wouldn't have a home. We wrote letters to save them.
It's a great woods and a lot of animals would have died.
He wanted to sell the trees, but he didn't because we wrote the letters to him. And he changed his mind. We saved the trees.
I've used Lynne's books to teach students an environmental awareness that they may or may not have. I use it as a teaching tool for geography, just an environmental awareness of the importance of the rainforest, the importance of even small patches of woods, such as the belt woods, and how they need to be preserved. If you do extra things in your classroom, great things can happen.
Oh, it's a daddy long legs, it's not a spider.
Oh, here. Uh-oh, I'm sorry.
No, I don't think we want to do.
No, that's me. I got him. He's cute.
Every day, the children watched Flute, Feather, and their brood flourishing in the Belt Woods. They listened, enchanted, as flutes, haunting flute-like music, rose and fell, swelled and died away, harmonizing with the songs of the ovenbirds and the vireos, the chattering of chipmunks, and the breeze whispering through the leaves of the summer forest. When the days grew shorter and cooler again, the children watched Flute and his family leave on their journey south. They hoped that the wood thrushes would avoid all perils and make it safely back to the Belt Woods the next spring and for many springs to come. I feel like I'm a citizen on planet Earth, and I want to protect this beautiful planet of ours. And I hope kids will feel that way and do the same.